Welcome to our channel. In this session we will discuss the concept of constructors. Okay, what is a constructor? Constructor is simply a member function of a class. Constructor is simply a member function of a class. That constructor that initializes object of the class. That means if a class contains a constructor, the constructor initializes the objects of the class before the actual use of the object. That is simple terms. Whenever we are creating a constructor, the memory for the objects is allocated automatically. Or one more way is constructor is a special method that is called automatically. Constructor is called automatically whenever an object is created. You got it? Whenever we are creating an object, the constructor is called automatically. That is, no explicit call is required. For example, if a program contains a function display, how to access the display function? First we have to create the object, and by using the object we can access. Suppose object i dot display. But coming to constructor, whenever we are creating the constructor, whenever we are creating an object, the constructor is called automatically. That is, no need to call. And if a class contains a constructor, means it initializes the object. It initializes all the objects that are available in the class. This is the main definition of the constructor. No problem, we will discuss these two definitions with example. And before that, a constructor has some properties. What are the properties? That is the characteristics. Name of the constructor is same as class name. That is, the constructor name. Constructor looks like a member function. The name of the constructor is same as class name, and the constructor does not have any return type. No return type. Constructor has no return type. That means even void also. Void is also a return type. Meaning is it does not return any value. But constructor doesn't have even void also. These two are the very important properties for defining a constructor. Okay. Next, we will discuss one example that relates to all the points. Class, item, int, quantity, id, public. I will discuss the same example. Float, price. Okay, these are the members. Now I am defining a constructor in the program. So how to define a constructor? Class name of information. Simply here we are performing initialization. Some initialization. Okay. So what is the name of the class? The name of the class is item. So what is the name of the constructor? The name of the constructor is also item. Item of. So within the constructor, here the operation is completely your choice. Suppose I am assigning quantity is equal to 10, id is equal to 1, price is equal to 100. Or quantity, id or price is completely depends on your wish. The definition is completely depends on our required program. Suppose here simply cin, quantity, id, price. Suppose here I am performing read operation. That is, read the inputs. Observe the first example. The same thing is written inside a function read. but here I am written inside a constructor. Now void display of cout quantity id price. Okay, I am closing the class. The class is closed. Now observe. Now how to access the members? The members are accessed by creating an object. So I am creating object int main item I. This is the way to create an object. Actually here what happens means, whenever an object is created, remember the pointer, whenever an object is created, the constructor is called automatically, no need to call. That is, after completion of this statement, the compiler automatically executes this one. Suppose if it is a method, you have to write like this, i.read, i.display, you have to call explicitly, but this is a constructor, no need to call. So what is the definition? Whenever we are creating an object, a constructor is called automatically. Okay, if a program contains a constructor means the memory is allocated, that is the object is initialized. Observe carefully, the object I is initialized with these three values. Okay, we have a constructor means at the time of object creation, these values are automatically assigned to object I. Now call i.display. Okay, this is the program. Observe the difference. If it is a read method, we have to write inside the read and you call like this, i.readof. But if it is a constructor, no need to write, no need to call the constructor. Now one more point is, here we can create any number of objects. That is completely your wish. I1, I2, I3. The objects are created in the order they are called. That is, first I1 is created, next to I2 is created, next to I3 is created. So for I1, the constructor is called automatically. Now I2, the constructor is called automatically. I3, the constructor is called automatically. In which order we are writing the objects, the same order the constructors are also called. In the same order, the constructors are also called. This is the constructor. Okay. And remember one more point. Even though we are not writing any constructor here, each and every C++ program has a default constructor. Each and every program has a default constructor. That means, suppose consider the previous example. That example does not contain this one. Here simply read method. But I am creating an object. What is the definition? Whenever we are creating an object, the constructor is called automatically. Suppose if our program does not contain any constructor, then so remember, even though it is not visible for us, logically every C++ program has a default constructor, with some default values. Okay, why you are writing the constructor? We are writing the constructor for our required value. We are writing the constructor with our required values. Suppose we doesn't need any new values, so no need to write by considering default constructor. Okay. Now the next question is how the constructors are classified. Okay. The constructors are classified into three categories. Default constructor, parameterized constructor, copy constructor. Default constructor, parameterized constructor, copy constructor. These are the three categories of constructors. Very simple example. Default constructor means in the previous case we are writing item of without any parameters. Without any parameters. So simply default constructor is a constructor without any parameters, a constructor with parameters. This is the main difference between these two. Copy parameter means one object uses the values of another object. One object uses the values of another object. Suppose consider the same example. Here I am using marker. So I am going to a shopping. I am going to some particular shop and ask me, please give me one marker. Please give me one marker. So observe carefully. Here I am not mentioned anything. That means what is the color of the marker and what is the rate, that is in which cost you want the particular marker and in which company. I am not giving any information. Simply give some marker. That is without specifying any values. Without specifying any values, I am buying a marker. That is the default constructor. For example, again I went to the shop and asked the shopkeeper for give a blue color. Suppose the company name is Camel. Give a blue color Camel marker within this price. That is, here I am specifying the parameters. That is the color of the marker, company of the marker, price of the marker. That is a parameterized constructor. Observe, in this example I am specifying, okay, give the Camel company in blue color. Camel company in blue color. But what about a copy constructor? So I went to the shop and simply asked the shopkeeper, give me another marker of like this. That is, I am showing my marker and give the marker like this. This is the copy constructor. That is, by using these values, the shopkeeper gives some other marker. Okay, you got it? I am not mentioning anything. That is the default constructor. I am specifying the parameters. Parameters is constructor. Here I am showing one example. That is, I already defined this marker. Simply I am showing this marker and give me another one. That is the copy constructor. In the later sessions, we will discuss each and everything in detail.